I never imagined marriage could shrink into nothing more than silence in the bedroom. I always knew passion couldn't blaze at the same intensity forever. Life piles on: work, bills, fatigue, the endless grind. But I believed there would always be a little spark left, something to hold on to. My name is Michael. I'm 42, and Laura and I have been married for almost 15 years. For most of that time, I convinced myself we were fine. But the word fine fractures when you examine it closely. In the early years, life with Laura was alive, full of joy, road trips, spontaneous nights out, laughter that never seemed to end. She was sharp, fiery, teasing me in ways that made me feel both challenged and adored. Even when routine settled in, we still shared small, intimate moments, a brush of her hand in the kitchen, lingering kisses before bed. Then those gestures began to vanish. At first, I excused it. She was tired. Teaching at the high school drained her. I didn't complain. I took over chores, mowed the lawn, gave her space. But months stretched into years, and the closeness that once bound us together slowly disappeared. I tried to bring it up gently, never wanted to sound demanding or ungrateful. One night I said, "I miss being close to you. I miss feeling like us." She sighed, looked away, and muttered, "I just don't feel that anymore. I don't get turned on." Her words hit me like a blow I hadn't prepared for. She wasn't angry, not cruel, just cold, blunt, as though she were announcing we were out of milk. Before I could even process it, the kitchen door opened and her younger sister, Chloe, stepped in. She must have overheard. With a half smile that didn't reach her eyes, she looked straight at me and said, almost teasing, "Maybe let me handle it." I froze, heart hammering, blinked. Surely I had misheard. Chloe was only 28, the opposite of Laura's distant calm. Where my wife had grown withdrawn, Chloe was bold, unfiltered. But this wasn't just blunt. It was dangerous. "Chloe, that's not funny," Laura snapped finally, looking at her sister. "You don't just walk in and say something like that." Chloe didn't back down. She leaned against the doorframe, arms folded, eyes fixed on me. "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. If you're not giving him what he needs, don't be shocked when he looks somewhere else." Her words detonated in the air. I glanced at Laura, expecting her to dismiss it, maybe scold Chloe harder. Instead, she shifted uncomfortably, lips pressed tight, offering nothing, no defense. And in that silence, something inside me shattered. I had spent years excusing Laura's distance, telling myself marriage was about patience, about weathering the dry seasons. Chloe's cutting remark ripped the veil away. It wasn't a phase. Laura had chosen to step away from intimacy with me, and I had been too afraid to admit it. I pushed my chair back slowly. The scrape against the floor echoed loudly. Laura's eyes widened, not with guilt, but irritation, as if I were making a scene. "Michael, don't start," she muttered, barely above a whisper. My chest burned. I turned toward the hall, pulse roaring in my ears. Behind me, Chloe's voice cut through again, softer this time, almost private. "Hey, wait!" Her tone had shifted, no longer mocking, no longer sharp, almost concerned. I didn't turn back. Couldn't. My body was caught between anger, humiliation, and a flicker of temptation I hated myself for feeling. I stepped onto the porch. The night air bit into my skin. For the first time in 15 years, I realized I wasn't just married to Laura. I was trapped in a version of myself that no longer existed. And Chloe, with one reckless sentence, had forced me to face it. I stood in the darkness, breath fogging in the cold. For years I had swallowed the emptiness, convincing myself marriage meant stability, safety, endurance. But what good is safety when it feels like suffocation? The door creaked behind me. Light spilled onto the porch as Chloe stepped out. She hesitated, then spoke quietly. "Michael, I wasn't trying to make things worse, but you can't keep living like this. You deserve more than being treated like a roommate." I didn't answer at first. Laura's flat words played on a loop in my head. "I don't feel that anymore." Finally, I said, "She's my wife. 15 years. You don't just walk away from that." Chloe let out a small, almost sad laugh. 15 years doesn't mean much if she checked out 5 years ago. I met her eyes for the first time that night. There was no flirtation now, only truth, and I hated how right she was. Inside, I could hear Laura rinsing dishes, as if nothing monumental had happened. That was her way. Avoid, minimize, bury. But I couldn't bury it anymore. Chloe, I said carefully, whatever you meant earlier, don't. This isn't about you. It's about me deciding if I can keep living in denial. She nodded, folding her arms against the cold. Fair enough. But if you choose to stay, don't complain when the loneliness eats you alive. Her words stung because they carried the truth I'd been dodging for years. I went back inside. The warmth of the house felt suffocating. Laura glanced up from the sink, annoyance flickering across her face. "Are you done?" she asked, as if I'd been throwing a tantrum. Something inside me snapped, not with rage, but clarity. "No," I said firmly. "I'm done pretending." Her brows furrowed in confusion, but I didn't wait for an argument. I walked past her into the bedroom and pulled out a suitcase. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for Laura's scraps of affection, her excuses, or her permission. I was choosing myself. And maybe, just maybe, that was the only way to finally find the love I'd been starving for.